Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. So there's been some extremely disturbing and shocking news recently in the case of missing girl SummerWells. I've just been watching one of MGL's latest live videos and I was shocked and disturbed by the number of times local people have called the police on Don and Candace. We shouldn't really be surprised, but I was surprised to hear that numerous people have reported their children, 14 and 15 years old, being intoxicated or drunk at the Wells family home. There's more than one occasion of a parent calling in to the local police department to report that their child is drunk at Candace and Don's house. Why on earth do two grown adults hang out with teenagers getting drunk when it's illegal and weird? Why do Don and Candace not chill out and hang out with people their own age? No one can obviously be sure, but what I do think is that they enjoy the company of younger people, Candace especially. If you think about Candace's relationship or friendship with H, that's never sat well with me. I have often wondered whether something actually went on between Candace and H, as apparently H had a Facebook profile that was removed that claimed they're in a relationship together. I also found it very weird that Candace met up with H on the day that Summer disappeared, and I always wondered whether or not H had been used as part of Candace's alibi. As we all know, Don has got 7 alibis, not just one, he's got 7. So maybe Candace has only got 1, but according to Don, she hasn't got any alibis and she's going down. I must admit, I was a bit surprised to hear about these phone calls to the police. I had heard that Molly Golightly and the other people that she's gone up to Tennessee with were obtaining these calls. I was aware it was not the 911 calls that report Summer missing that they were going to get, but that they were going to get access to as many other calls that the police have received about the Wells over the years, I think, if they paid $25 per call. I have found it extremely fascinating but also disturbing and shocking to hear what these reports say. One father was calling up to chase up his young son, his teenage son, who was drunk at Candace's house, and apparently when he tried to get the information of where Candace was so he could come and collect his son, Candace refused to communicate with him. How weird. How bizarre. I do think it is really weird that people that are pushing 40 and someone in their 50s are generally mostly hanging out with teenagers. It would seem they're no longer hanging out with teenagers because now their friends of choice are certain YouTubers. Perhaps if Summer hadn't gone missing, Don and Candace would have remained hanging out with teenagers and wouldn't be so friendly with certain YouTubers, who thankfully are not teenagers. But I do find it weird. I can't get my head round why two people their age think it's appropriate to have underage kids in their house getting pissed. And were they only getting pissed? I imagine that there were drugs going on. Again, it's just my personal opinion, guys, but if Don and Candace are willing to give minors drink, I'm pretty certain they're not going to mind giving them some drugs. If you go back to the very first interview that Don and Candace did, there's something that never sat well with me from the first time I watched it. Don mentioned the neighbours that him and Candace had, and he claimed they didn't really know many of them, but since Summer has gone missing, they realise that they do actually have some, note the word some, good neighbours. That told me nearly 6 months ago that Don and Candace have had certain issues with certain neighbours. Clearly, not all of their neighbours like them, and it's quite clear to see why.
She's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. Yeah, there's always going to be haters, and it's always going to be that way in this world. And we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts, and that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. Because we just try to be around good people. And we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened that we got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere.
I did hear the mention about Grandus calling up to report Don hurting Candace. I believe we were all made aware of that call previously by Chris McDonough from the interview room. I believe that particular occasion involved Jose, the guy that apparently Don thought Candace was having an affair with. whilst he'd gone back to Utah. And when he comes back from Utah and finds this guy in his house, he kicks off. Apparently something goes on between him and Jose, a bit of a kerfuffle, and apparently Candace was pushed over in amongst all of this happening. Candace then rings the police, grasses up Don for pushing over her daughter. It does make you wonder just how many times have the police been called about things going on with Don and Candace. We've had numerous reports from the Wells' neighbours reporting that their children are at their home under the influence of alcohol when they're minors, and that they're generally quite worried about it, and clearly and obviously they don't want their children at that house. Did you catch this live video from Molly Golightly? Were you surprised like me at just how many times the local police have been called about Don and Candace? It would seem that their criminal behaviour goes back years and years and years and has just kept on going. I find it extremely disturbing that two grown adults want to hang out with 14 and 15-year-old kids, plying them with booze and God knows what else. I do find this extremely weird. Is this something that Don goes along with? Perhaps Candace likes hanging out with teenagers and Don just goes along with it? Or is this something that they both enjoy doing because perhaps they don't like hanging out with people their own age? There have been so many bizarre twists and turns in this case over the past 6 months, and really nothing should surprise me about Don and Candace. But weirdly, they surprise me on a daily basis. Normally, something comes along and I just think, wow, really? What are you two like? What are you two doing? When are you two going to sort your lives out? And when are you two going to tell the truth about what really happened to Summer? So guys, please share your thoughts with me. Pop your comments below. What do you think about this? And have you heard about it? This information was released on a very recent video done by Molly Golightly where she went live and she detailed all of the times that the local police have been called on Don and Candace. It really was disturbing listening, but it's also interesting to know just how dodgy Don and Candace are and how weird their behaviour has been over the years. It builds up quite a general picture of them both, how dodgy and weird they are, and to me this terrible behaviour from both Don and Candace over so many years, over their whole lifetime, could it be that they covered up an accidental death or the murder of their daughter, Summer? Well, I will look forward to reading your thoughts on this, guys, so please do share your views with me. And as usual, I hope you're all well. And as usual, I'm going to be back with you all very soon for another true crime video. Bye for now.